Hey everyone, welcome back. Now, here's a bit of pretty much been working on Project Old Blues for the Mars Garage Rust Bucket group build. So here pretty much have the truck about essentially complete now. Pretty much been working on rusting up a few more things on the body, getting some of the small parts together. So for instance got pretty much the rot on the bottom half dealt with. And then here on the back half of the cab actually end up trimming a little bit of the door gap apart, so that it looks like that the back half of the cab's actually separating from the floorboards. And then rusted up around the lip ledges. Got that dealt with. Got the interior all put together. Also went ahead for the back as the truck had the rear sliding door. Just went ahead. Didn't have any plastic sheets, so pretty much just had the simulated lines where the trim would be for to simulate sliding rear windows. Pretty much, yeah, got that. Did a little more, did some weathering on the roof, then along the ledges, say around the windshield and the cowl. Got the bumpers on. Now, then weathered up the underside. Also went ahead and tried went ahead and built some propane tanks that were underneath the frame or beside the frame underneath the doors on the real truck. These ones here are a little bit smaller than I perhaps would have liked, but with what I had currently, these were the best I could get, which actually is just the exhaust manifold taken from extra parts that I had. Pretty much and then pretty much dirtied up the complete underside. Then with a little bit of black wash and water, went about with the transfer case and some of the pinion yokes, so to look like there's oil leaking out. So it's pretty much how that all went. So overall went to pretty much built up quite nicely. Though one thing I did find was when I was putting everything together, ended up gluing the body onto the chassis a little bit too far back. So some things didn't quite line up exactly, and especially when I converted the front to the front leaf springs instead of the kit's standard coil spring setup, which would have been accurate for a light duty half ton. Then got the bumper on, have it tweaked a little bit to the left, representing that my truck might have drove into something at one point, and then twisted the rear bumper as on the rail truck. I don't have a picture with me currently, but there was a picture that I have where the bumper on the right hand side was bent down quite heavily, and then a bit on the left as well. A little bit of, and then put a bit of dirt residue in the back of the box. So overall, quite pleased with how this turned out. Now, could have done Now, I could have done a little bit better work on some aspects of the build, but overall, for how it's turning out how it turned out so far, I'm quite pleased with it, and yeah, and then for the engine bay, see if I can get the hood off. Get this out of the way for a moment. There we go. Yeah, so got the hood off. So pretty much here's the engine bay. Pretty much dirtied this all up. Might be a bit hard to tell, but did put pour a bit of did have or did put a bit of dirt and crud all over the engine. Though of course the engine cover or the air filter cover do it a little bit more cleaner fashion that the air filter It'd be a bit cleaner compared to everything else, as this truck here was a functioning truck back in the day. So overall, it's looking quite nicely. There's a couple other things I could have done, like did a little bit of some wiring inside the engine bay. But overall, for something that'll be sitting on the shelf most of its life, didn't want to go too crazy. Yeah, but overall, quite pleased with how this has turned out. Yeah, don't really have too much else to. Yeah, don't really have too much to elaborate on this, but yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so overall, quite pleased with how this turned out. Definitely going to be wanting to find someone or find more of these earlier 70s truck kits, especially to find more 76, 77s, or even to the 73, 75 truck grills. So definitely going to be building more in the future. Even though this may not be everyone's favorite kit to work with, if you know the tricks around things and knowing how everything works and goes together, it's not too bad of a kit as one may say it is. So yeah, yeah. So there's pretty much the just an overview and the finale of the Rust Bucket Group Build Challenge. So yeah, quite pleased how yeah. So as mentioned, quite pleased with how this turned out, and definitely be looking around, see if there's anything else. May look at doing another entry into the group build, but for time being, this gonna be the main piece for now. And of course, I'll check out a couple other groups, see what's going on, do a couple other group builds perhaps. So yeah, that'll be it for this video, and thanks for watching, and see you next time.